What is up? What is up, my people? We are back with another episode of MEKHI'S Money Making Plays. This week we got UFC Vegas 108, Taira taking on Han Sung Park. You already know what the deal is. We going with a lock of the week, my most confident picks, and then we're gonna wrap the video up with let me get back in the flow of things. My bad. We got the favorite underdogs after the most confident picks, and then we wrap the video up with MEKHI'S Money Making Plays, the Parlays. So make sure you guys tune in, like, comment, share, subscribe, do what you got to do to the video, and let's get it underway. So as you guys are aware, for the month of July, we ended up going 3-1 on the locks. We missed last week with Jose Ochoa. I like him, man. The dude is pretty crafty. I like his kickboxing skills. He showed that, he was pretty much the aggressor the entire fight. He just got a little bit out grappled by Asu, got controlled, and was unable to win the fight ultimately. But I respect the effort that he gave 100%, and it was also on short notice, so you can't really give him too much pushback on that. I respect Jose Ochoa for what he did. But moving on to this week's slate, we got a little bit of chalky lines. We got some big underdogs. I said, you know what? Let's go back to another parlay. I think I cooked a good one up. I like both of these guys to get it done, possibly inside the distance. Honestly, I think they're both live for a knockout. One more than the other, I'll say. I think I'm gonna trip you up on who I believe that will be too once I get into the breakdown of the lock. But let's not get ahead of myself. I'm gonna give you guys the quick little break for the 2-leg parlay lock of the week. Kevin Vallejos and Andre Puyaev money line. Like I said, I do believe both of these guys can get the job done inside the distance. I would favor Andre Puyaev to win by knockout more than Kevin Vallejos. And I only say that because I respect Danny Silva. I do believe he is also a pretty solid boxer. He's pretty good in the pocket as well. The only difference between him, there's a couple of differences between him and Kevin Vallejos. I like Kevin Vallejos' power a lot more. Kevin Vallejos packs a much heavier thud with his shots. So I do see, Kevin Vallejos possibly getting a finish later in the fight. But I feel as though Danny Silva, his hand speed's pretty good. He can, compete in the boxing with Kevin Vallejos. I think it's going to be a really interesting fight. But I think, Kevin is going to land the more powerful shots, the more impacting shots. I could see him hurting Danny probably, twice throughout the entire fight. And we see Danny clinch up, try to get the fight to the ground, and being able to survive. So that's why I say I would lean on an Andre Puyaev knockout more than a Kevin Vallejos. When I get to Puyaev, I think he's in there with a guy who is levels below him. I know their records aren't that drastically different. We got Puyaev at 9-3 and Nick Klein at 6-2. So it's not like one guy is completely more experienced than the other. But when you look at Puyaev striking and the stand up, he's got pretty decent grappling defense as well. Nick Klein, man, he's there to be hit. He doesn't move his head. His footwork is a little clunky. Mansour Abdul Malik was able to get him out of there with just, overwhelming pressure and I guess some power too. He did hurt Mansour, but I don't see him, like I said in the breakdown, I believe that shot was really just out of luck. I don't think it was a technical strike that he threw. It was just something that he knew he can do. He was like, oh, let me just throw the spinning elbow, clip Mansour. Mansour was able to get back and, finished him in the second round. But when you look at Puyaev, man, he's nasty on the feet. The straight shots are going to be there for him with Nick Klein, who doesn't move his head off the center line. I do believe Nick Klein is going to try and force the wrestling, but I feel as though Puyaev will be able to defend the takedown attempts similarly as well as he did against Liam Anderson. Liam Anderson did get him taken down, I believe, in the end of the second round of his Dana White Contender Series fight. But as you guys can see, he survived and, went on to win the decision pretty decisively. He tuned Liam Anderson up, and I see him being able to do the same thing against Nick Klein. Pretty similar in the height. I know he only has about 1.5 inch reach advantage. Yeah, 78.5 to 77, but it's going to look a lot larger. And Andre Puyaev's striking from range is pretty nasty. I don't see Nick Klein being able to, close that distance fairly well. I feel as though once he enters the pocket, he's going to get caught with something nasty right down the middle, and I can see Nick Klein going out on his back. So give me Andre Puyaev possibly to get it done within 2 rounds, honestly. But for the lock of the week, we are just taking Kevin Vallejos and Andre Puyaev straight down the middle money line. Gives us plus 101 on the odds. And I'm definitely trying to get back, in the win column with another parlay. We've been doing pretty good on them. I think we hit two. I think we had 2 parlays for July, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, got another one for you guys, and I'm really interested in seeing how both of these guys match up in this fight this weekend. Like I said, I do think both of them are live for a finish, but we're just going to take them down the middle. Maybe, throw a little something, sprinkle a little something on the knockout straights. That's what I'm saying. So let's go with Vallejos and Puyaev down the middle money line. Lock of the week, parlay to get right back in the W column. Now, moving on to the most confident picks. I got 2 for you. I know there's a lot of heavy favorites, but I feel as though, the fights or the line shouldn't be as wide as they are for some of the fights. But the 2 that I got, I'm going to pull them up on the screen now. We got Esteban Ribovics sitting at minus 250. We got Mateusz Rebecki. Esteban Ribovics, I really like this fight, him versus Elvis Brenner. Could have been, a co-main event, but co-main event and the feature fighter tonight, you can't really be, mad at. Both of those fights could be a featured fight on a pay-per-view, I'll say. I wasn't going to get carried away and say like a main event, a fight night main event or anything like that, but definitely a featured fight on a pay-per-view. Getting to Esteban, I feel as though he's going to meet Elvis in the middle. Elvis does throw a lot of chaotic things, does have some power with him, does do a lot of his work on the ground, but I feel as though Esteban, his combinations in the pocket are a lot cleaner. I think he also packs a pretty heavy punch. You saw the finish over Terrence McKinney. He finished him with a head kick. Esteban is nasty, man. I really like what he's got going on. He did take a loss recently to Nasrat Haqparast, but that was a very close fight. And Nasrat Haqparast is very tactical, very technical, very proficient with his striking. And I feel as though there were certain moments where Esteban definitely got the better of him, but he was, Nasrat was able to play the long game and just technically outpoint Esteban. I don't see Elvis Brenner being a guy that's going to try and outpoint Esteban. He's definitely going to come forward and try to find a finish, and I feel as though he's going to get caught with something big by El Gringo, Esteban Ribovics, and I can see Ribovics putting Elvis Brenner out. Maybe it's a club and sub, maybe it's a ground and pound finish. Maybe, we see a different side of Esteban. Not really a different side, but we see a version of him that we haven't seen yet where he's exploiting the wrestling a lot more, maybe, gets on top and garners some control time. I don't see that happening. I see Esteban Ribovics walking forward, catching Elvis Brenner with a nasty counter shot, and I see Elvis Brenner, folding up. He did win. Elvis Brenner did win against Guram Kutateladze. I believe it wasn't his debut, but that fight was about 2 years ago now. He was hurt. He got split open in that fight, and he was able to come back. But Guram was supposed to be somebody that the UFC was, super excited for. It didn't really work out in the end, as you guys could clearly see. But I see Esteban Ribovics being able to hurt Elvis Brenner, similar to what Guram was able to do and putting him away. But if you don't see, Elvis Brenner get knocked out or finished, I still like Esteban Ribovics to win by a decision if it does come to that. So that's why he is number 1 on the most confident picks list. Next up, we got Mateusz Rebecki. This is a really good co-main event for an Apex card. Like I said, it could be a featured fight on a pay-per-view. Chris Duncan is nice, man. I like him. He's still young. He's still developing his game. But Mateusz Rebecki, bro, he's a tank. He walks forward. The boxing is nasty. He's got power. He's got good grappling. I mean, the dude could do it all. He's been in there with stiffer competition, the fight against Mitsubik Orlabai, which was about almost a year, 9 months ago now. And then, the loss against Diego Ferreira. It is what it is. Got finished a year and 2 months ago. But him coming back and, fighting Mitsubik shortly after that, and putting on the performance that he did, even though it was at a catchweight, it just, goes to show that this dude is pretty tough, man. And Chris Duncan, like I said, I do like him. He is. I'm not gonna say he's live to finish Rebecca. I will say he's live to, um, put on a good account for himself. Maybe it goes to a decision. Maybe, he gets around. I could definitely see like a 29-28 if Rebecca doesn't finish him. But Rebecca, man, he's not, in there to play the long game. He's looking for a finish. And I do think he can overwhelm a Chris Duncan. Chris Duncan, he starts fast early, but later on in the fights, he's only throwing singular shots. He's spamming the body kick. He's throwing things that he doesn't really need to. He's wasting his technique on strikes that you don't really need to put out there. And I could definitely see Rebecca, closing the pocket, moving his head, and finding a counter shot. Maybe hurts him and just smothers him on the ground and possibly get a finish. So give me Mateusz Rebecca. He was also a consideration to throw in the lock of the week parlay. I ended up going with Valeos and Pugaev though. So it is what it is. Mateusz Rebecca, I like him. And I do feel as though he can finish a Chris Duncan. I'm not just going to go out there and, bet all my money on it. Let's move on to the favorite underdogs. I'm doing this one in order of the odds, not necessarily who, I like the most. But starting it off, we got Hun Sung Park, Tresean Gore, and Ketlin Souza. Hun Sung Park, he's sitting at plus 300. Now, I am picking Taira Taira to win this fight, but Hun Sung Park, man, he's pretty good. I know he's only 10-0. I know we haven't seen a lot of him. He's coming off this finish over Carlos Hernandez, where he got the submission. I believe it was in the first round. I think I picked him in. I think I picked knockout in that fight because I like his boxing so much, which is something that interests me in him as an underdog in this matchup. Taira Taira, he is cleaner on the feet, I'll say. I like how he, I'm a big guy for straight shots, the jabs, the twos, things of that nature. Hun Sung Park, he does have some pretty good boxing. He throws some pretty good, hooks to the body, comes up top with probably an uppercut or something like that. But he can definitely strike in the pocket, and I really like that out of Hun Sung Park. He can also wrestle. We saw him get the finish over Carlos Hernandez. Like I just said, he does have some solid ground game. So I don't see Taira Taira, running through him, finishing him in the first or second round. I think it could be, a 4 or 5 round fight. I could see, Hun Sung Park, he was training for Steve Erceg. It is a different matchup. He was preparing for a primary striker, where now he's fighting Taira Taira, who we know his number one asset is his grappling, but he also has some pretty good striking to go behind it. So I do believe Taira Taira is going to win, but I feel as though the line should be a little closer than what it is. Maybe a plus 200, something of that, plus 200, plus 180, somewhere around there. But plus 300 is a little bit wide for Hun Sung Park. I get it. We haven't seen a lot of him. I understand, it is short notice, but he was already preparing for a fight. So it's not necessarily short notice when he was only going to be fighting a week later. So, but, we'll see how they look on the scale, or we'll see how Park looks on the scales. I'm pretty sure he's, ready to go. I just saw, clips of his media day. He's saying he's ready to finish him. He said either round 2 or 3. So he's coming in hungry. He definitely wants to finish Taira Taira, and I'm not saying he's not capable of doing it, because the dude is pretty good. So I like Park at plus 300. If you're willing to, bet some money on him, I feel as though it's not a bad bet. So give me Park plus 300. Next, we going with Tresean Gore. I feel as though Tresean Gore can finish Rodolfo Vieira. No, he's never been knocked out in his career, but I feel as though Tresean Gore could be the guy to do it. Not because, he's a super technical guy. He's got great boxing, I just feel as though he's coming in with a lot more hunger than a Rodolfo Vieira. I feel as though he's going to be able to take the center of the octagon away from Rodolfo Vieira. I feel as though he's going to be able to put him on his back foot. We saw him be able to take or excuse me, we saw him be able to put Marco Tulio on his back foot, and that was a striker versus striker matchup. And Tulio was just a much sharper blade. He's not going to have that issue with, a lot of crazy strikes coming back at him when he's fighting a Rodolfo Vieira. If Rodolfo Vieira does pretty much the same thing, he'll throw a jab, he'll throw a low kick, and then he's shooting for a takedown. I feel as though Tresean Gore is going to be able to see a lot of those strikes coming and move out the way, push forward, and get his shots off. And I could definitely see him overwhelming Rodolfo Vieira if he's able to stuff the takedown. The first 3 to 4 takedowns, if we get to 3 to 4 takedowns, if he's able to stuff those, Rodolfo Vieira is going to be in for a long night, because he's going to be, honestly, a fish out of water on the feet. In my opinion, I feel as though Tresean Gore could definitely land a nasty shot, put him down, and get a finish inside of. I think this fight doesn't go past the second round, so give me Tresean Gore to find a finish inside of 2 rounds. Then we're going with Ketlin Souza. I feel as though she's being, super underrated in this fight. Pierre Rodriguez, who you guys aren't aware, she got DQ'd 2 fights ago now, a year and 2 months ago, against Ariane Carnelosi. She did hurt Carnelosi, but was headbutting her for some reason. Not saying that Ketlin Souza is going to win by DQ because of a headbutt or anything like that, but Ketlin Souza, she reminds me a little bit of Jessica Andrade. She's got some pretty big power. She is not necessarily undersized, because her and Pierre are actually the same height. Pierre only has a half inch in reach, but Ketlin Souza, she definitely packs a better punch, I'll say. More so, she throws a lot more hooks than jabs for Pierre, but Pierre's striking isn't all that either. If you really look at it, I mean, it's okay. She does throw a lot of flurries, but I could definitely see Ketlin Souza being able to, catch 2 or 3 of those shots on the guard and come back with something heavy, maybe dropping her, or maybe just, keeping Pierre honest, because that power that Ketlin Souza does have is something to be respectable. So I think Ketlin Souza is definitely live. I mean, I picked her as to win this fight. I definitely think she's live to win by probably a decision. She was on the wrong side of a split decision last time out. Maybe it goes to a split decision again, and she's on the right side. Maybe they make up for how they gypped her last time out against Angela Hill. So I'm going with Ketlin Souza. I like her as an underdog, plus 180. Pretty good number right there if you're trying to throw down. And to wrap the video up, we're going to MEKHI'S money making plays, the parlays. Let's get it started. We got Rebecca money line over 1.5. Danny Silva versus Kevin Vallejos, and then we're going under 2.5. Tresean Gore versus Rodolfo Vieira. I basically just gave you guys a breakdown for that entire parlay, so plus 234 for that one. Pretty good plays right there. Then we're going with Caro Rosa over 2.5 in the Magny versus Dos Santos fight, and Ketlin Souza money line plus 507. I feel as though Rosa should win. I'll say she's going to win by decision. I like the leg kicks. I feel as though she's going to be able to flatten the wheels of Nora Corno, like I said in the breakdown, and be able to, strike from distance. Not necessarily, long distance, but keeping Corno at bay. And then Ketlin Souza, I just gave you the breakdown for why I picked her as an underdog and why she's also one of my favorite underdogs. So, and then the over 2.5 for Magny versus Dos Santos. I feel as though Magny and Zaleski might be a little gun shy in this matchup, seeing that they both are coming off of, knockouts. So I could definitely see a lot more grappling probably in this matchup, some cage fighting. Just, both of these guys probably try to play it a little bit safe, Neil Magny got knocked out. Well, how long ago was it now? November of last year. So he took a pretty good amount of time off. But Zaleski, he just got knocked out probably 3 months ago. Yeah, in March. 4 months ago now. So I could definitely see them, taking their time, getting the range, because Neil Magny is a pretty long guy. He just doesn't strike from range as well as you would like him to. So I definitely see this fight going long, probably a decision. Moving on, we got Andre Puyaev by knockout, like I said in the lock of the week breakdown, and then Taira Taira by decision, plus 849. I really like that play. And to bring it all home, we got Vallejos, round 3 or decision. Like I said, Danny Silva could probably, I feel as though Danny Silva is going to be able to survive. Maybe if he gets clipped, he'll be able to, fight in a clinch, tie up, try to wrestle, get the fight down, and, survive that storm that he's going through. Tatsuda Taira by sub. If he does have, I will favor Tatsuda Taira's offensive grappling, and maybe he does get under the neck of Hong Sung Park. It is a possibility. Esteban Ribovics money line, and then the under 2.5, and Mateusz Rebecki versus Chris Duncan. Like I said, I don't see that fight going the distance. Both of these guys are, well, Rebecki's not coming off of a finish, but damn near. He almost had Orlabai out of there, and then Chris Duncan is coming off of 2 straight gillies. I could definitely see him trying to shoot for one in this matchup, and if he gets it, he gets it. Hey, the under hits, you know what I'm saying? So plus 1171 for that play there. I really like that one too. Bringing in some pretty good money, and yeah, that's what I got for MEKHI'S money making plays. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about the lock of the week. I'm really interested to see, who you guys are picking as your lock. You got one fighter circled on your card. Who is it? What is it? Underplay, overplay? Let me know what you guys are looking at for your locks. I'm interested to hear from the community, and thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you guys like, comment, share, subscribe, and yeah, I'll see you guys for the weigh-in recap and also the full card recap. So thanks for tuning in. I'll see you later.